People from all over the world were likely to watch Donald Trump's arraignment just recently. He will be the first past president of the United States to face criminal charges. Now, through social media and news outlets, the world will once again hear a lot about someone whose time in office drew a lot of attention from around the world. Trump will join a long list of previous leaders who've been charged with crimes, from Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu to South Africa's Jacob Zuma. Many countries are thinking about what this historic moment means for the United States and for democracies around the world. Now, so far, the media all over the world have been eagerly covering the case, and many have sent their own journalists to New York to keep up with what's going on and to see how it affects politics. It is not quite the top story around the world because many countries are dealing with high costs of living and rising inflation or their own political problems. But according to NBC News, Trump's indictment has caught the attention of people from Indonesia to Brazil and South Africa to Pakistan. So in this video, we will be getting to know how different countries react to Trump's indictment. Number 1. Germany. Der Spiegel, a German news magazine, wrote a story with the headline, "The Courtroom His New Stage," about how Trump loves the spotlight, but is in a lot of trouble with the law right now. Now, this is something that many international news outlets have also said. Number 2. Belgium. Belgium's De Morgen newspaper said that most people would dread a day like this. They continue on by saying, Trump himself, however, seems to be enjoying being back where he wants to be, the center of attention. Number 3. India. The Indian Express's website had live updates on the news and summed up the importance of Tuesday's meeting by saying, among 160 years of presidential scandals, Donald Trump stands alone. Number 4. Sweden. Expressen, a tabloid newspaper in Sweden, found a local angle and talked to Peter Niemann, a 55-year-old security guard from the town of Mjölby, who works at Trump campaign events and supports his policies. Number 6. The Vatican. Even the daily French-language podcast of Vatican News talked about the Trump case. Now, though it was third on the list after new US bases in the Philippines and the start of oil exports from Iraqi Kurdistan to Turkey. Number 6. China. The Chinese analysts who talked about the Trump case were some of the harshest, saying that it was a bad sign for American democracy as a whole. Now, in an opinion piece recently published in Hong Kong's South China Morning Post, Wang Wen, a professor at Renmin University of China, said that China was chuckling at the irony of the US having democracy summits while putting a former president on trial. Okay, so on Tuesday night, former President Donald Trump spoke to his supporters at Mar-a-Lago Estate. According to law enforcement sources familiar with the case, the speech came after his court appearance in Manhattan, where he pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying company records, stemming from a hush money payment to a pornographic star during his 2016 campaign. The event was anticipated to draw some of the most ardently pro-Trump congressional Republicans out of the minimum 500 notable supporters who were invited. Now, Trump told the crowd at Mar-a-Lago, "I never thought anything like this could happen in America. Never thought it could happen. The only crime that I've committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it." He said that the indictment was just another effort by Democrats to hurt him. He pointed to quote-unquote fraudulent investigations into Russia and Ukraine, as well as quote-unquote impeachment hoaxes 1 and 2. Trump said that his opponents have really stepped up their efforts by indicting the 45th President of the United States. Since you guys have made it this far, we have some bonus info just for you. So since we already mentioned Mar-a-Lago, people with knowledge of the situation are actually saying that the Justice Department and FBI investigators have found more evidence that former President Donald Trump may have tried to stop the probe into the top-secret documents found at his Mar-a-Lago home. Those who were interviewed for this story spoke on the condition of anonymity to talk about an ongoing criminal investigation. They said that investigators have used emails and text messages from a former Trump aide to help them understand important events from last year. The new details show how much Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation into the possible mishandling of hundreds of classified national security papers at Trump's Florida home and private club has come to focus on the obstruction aspects of the same case. That is, whether the former president took or ordered actions that made it harder for the government to collect all the sensitive records. Now, what do world leaders have to say about this? Viktor Orban, Hungary's far-right authoritarian leader, said in a tweet, "Keep on fighting, Mr. President. We are with you at Real Donald Trump." Now, El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, asked on Twitter what would happen if a Salvadoran leader was also accused of wrongdoing with money in the same way. He also recently tweeted, "Sadly, it'll be very hard for US foreign policy to use arguments such as democracy and free and fair elections, or try to condemn political persecution in other countries from now on." And with that, Valérie Hayer, a French politician from the left-wing Ensemble Party, who was a member of the European Parliament, then replied to Orban, "Continue to fight against democracy? Donald Trump obviously doesn't need your advice to wreak havoc. The friendly enemies of democracy in action." And lastly, Abdul Khalek Abdullah, a political science professor from Dubai, called Trump an imbalanced person who does not deserve the respect of a sane person, while at the same time, he praises the US legal system. He recently said in a tweet, "The American judiciary that does not differentiate between a minister, a guard, a president, and a subordinate, and brings a former president to justice is one of the few sources of America's supremacy." Now, what about you? Where in the world are you from, and what is your reaction to this breaking news story about the former US president? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. Until next time!